There was a time when I believed cheating had a smell, a shift in perfume, maybe something on the skin. Now I know it's quieter than that. It slips in through a laugh, a delay in texting back, the way someone kisses you like they're remembering how. It started on a Saturday night. Her best friend Marcy was getting married. Bachelorette party, all girls, downtown. I knew most of them, at least the versions I'd met over dinner tables and wine-soaked holidays. Loud, drunk, loyal to each other in the kind of way that made them feel like one shared organism. I never loved the crowd, but I trusted Erin. I wasn't always good at that. But with her, I tried. She kissed me goodbye in our kitchen, wore a black dress that looked like it had been stitched from water. Her lipstick was deeper than usual, almost wine red. I remember her adjusting the strap of her heel, wobbling, laughing, saying, "If I come home barefoot, don't ask questions." I didn't. Even when she came home smelling like citrus and gin, one earring missing, shoes in hand. She collapsed beside me at 2:13 a.m., mumbled something about too many shots, and curled into my side. I held her. I wanted to believe that was enough. It was 2 days later when the link came. A text from my buddy Caleb, no caption, just a TikTok URL. I clicked it without thinking. At first, it was just music, some trending audio I didn't recognize. A car interior. Dim light. Then the camera tilted slightly, stabilizing. And there she was. Erin. Backseat of an Uber. Laughing. Her head thrown back, lipstick smudged just a little. She looked beautiful. That stunned me at first, the raw, off-guard kind of beautiful that doesn't know it's being filmed. Until you realize that's exactly the point. There was a guy next to her. Not someone I recognized. He was smiling, leaning in, talking into her ear. She touched his knee. The music hit a beat drop. The video cut to her pulling his face toward hers. A quick, half-drunk kiss. Then a hand slipping into her purse, pulling something out. A hotel key card. She handed it to him. He took it like it was owed. The caption read, "When your Uber ends with a kiss and a room key kiss mark automobile. Hashtag Nick Nights, hashtag Bachelorette Life, hashtag for you." I watched it 3 times before I realized I hadn't breathed. The comments were what you'd expect. El Mayo Queen behavior nail polish. She knew what she was doing fire. Okay, but who's the Uber driver and how do I get this camera set up? I scrolled, stunned. The video had 500,000 views already. Her name wasn't tagged. No obvious identifiers. But I knew her. I knew the dress. The earrings. The hotel key had the name of the chain I'd booked for her friends' out-of-town guests. I stared at the screen until my phone dimmed and went black. For the next hour, I sat at the kitchen table where she'd kissed me goodbye. The coffee mug from that morning still sat by the sink. Her ring was in the little dish where she always left it before bed. A lavender candle burned, barely flickering. Everything was quiet. Everything was clean. But something had curdled in the air. She walked in around 4, hair pulled back, gym bag over her shoulder. Said hi like it was any other Monday. I looked at her and thought, this is what betrayal looks like before it's named. I didn't say anything. Not yet. I asked about the night. She told me the usual. Loud clubs, too much champagne. Someone almost puked in the Uber. She laughed when she said that. Then she kissed my cheek and asked what I wanted for dinner. I said I wasn't hungry. That night, I watched the video again. This time, I noticed something I hadn't before. There was a camera angle switch. A rearview mirror reflection framed perfectly. The driver was filming. Not just the dash cam. Not just passive footage. This was edited. Curated. Meant to be seen. And somehow, it made its way to TikTok. Not from her. Not from him. But someone who had been watching. There was something sick about it. The voyeurism. The exposure. The fact that someone had a camera in that car and knew what was happening before even she did. I didn't sleep that night. I watched it again. And again. At 3:17 a.m., I messaged Caleb. Where'd you find this? He replied instantly. Dude, it's going viral. Saw it on her/public freakout. You recognize her? I didn't answer. By morning, my hands were shaking. Not with rage. With something else. Something I couldn't name yet. But I knew this. Erin had no idea I'd seen it. She didn't know she was a trending topic. She didn't know the internet had receipts. And I wasn't going to tell her. Not yet. Because the worst betrayals don't happen when someone lies. They happen when someone lets you believe they're still yours, even after they've already left. And she hadn't left yet, which meant I still had time. Time to watch. Time to wait. Time to decide how I'd burn this down. I didn't confront her. Not the next morning, not that night, not even when she climbed into bed next to me humming softly, the way she always did when she wanted to be held without having to say so. I wrapped my arm around her and stared at the ceiling, wide awake, her breathing steady against my chest. She smelled like lavender shampoo and fabric softener. Domestic. Familiar. But my body tensed like I was lying next to a stranger. It's not that I was weak. It's that I wanted to see how deep it went. I spent the next day in reconnaissance. Quiet. Focused. I worked from home, an excuse to stay close. Erin always left her laptop open. Her phone too, sometimes. I didn't plan to snoop. Not at first. But curiosity turns into necessity fast when the truth starts rotting in your hands. She had a group chat with the bridal party. That much I knew. I'd heard them mention it before, usually in passing. The way women do when they assume you're not paying attention. Around 1 p.m., while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed twice on the kitchen island. I glanced at it. Just names I half recognized. Lexi, Bree, Mora. No preview text. Just the usual iMessage curtain. I ignored it. I told myself not to look. That if I went digging, it would change something. That I couldn't come back from that. But I also knew what I'd seen in the TikTok wasn't a trick of the light. It wasn't a misunderstanding or a blurry moment. It was deliberate, clear, real. I opened the group chat. At first, it was harmless. Memes. A few selfies from the night of the party. Blurry bar photos. Erin posing with a bottle of champagne in front of a neon sign that said, "Till death do us party." Then one from Lexi. Dead at Erin making out W Uber Ken rolling on floor laughing. Followed by a string of fire emojis and a gif of someone clapping. And Erin's reply. El Mayo, I don't even remember that happening. Then more again. Bitch, you gave him your hotel key. That man walked in like he owned the place, face with years of joy. And finally, from Bree. Better hope your boy never finds TikTok. They all reacted to that one with laughing emojis. I stood there in the middle of our kitchen, her phone still warm in my palm, feeling like I'd just stepped off the edge of something solid. The kind of moment that changes the floor beneath you without warning. I heard the water stop upstairs. I put the phone back exactly where it was. That night, I kissed her goodnight and said I was proud of her. She had a big presentation coming up, some pitch to a new client. She smiled like I just handed her a compliment wrapped in gold foil. She didn't know I was preparing to destroy her. But destruction isn't loud, not if you do it right. It's in the way you stop reaching for their hand during movies. The way you stop asking what they want for dinner. The way you watch, catalog, archive. The next move came 2 days later. I tracked down the Uber. Not hers, technically. Mine. I had ordered it on my account. She always used my login when she went out. Said it saved time. I pulled it up. Saturday, 12:52 a.m. pickup. The Rusty Key. Drop off. The Cove Hotel. Driver. Marco D. Rating. 4.93 stars. There was a contact option. I clicked it. I didn't know what I was hoping for. A confession? A link? Maybe just some hint that would make the next steps easier. Instead, I got a surprise. Marco replied. Fast. Hey, if this is about the TikTok, I already took it down. I stared at the screen. That was your account? He responded with a voice memo. 30 seconds. Look, man. I didn't know she was married. It was supposed to be anonymous. Just funny content. The algorithm loves that kind of stuff, especially with pretty girls doing wild things. I blurred her face after the first hour, but it went viral quick. I didn't tag anyone. If she's your girl, I'm sorry. His tone wasn't cruel, just detached. Like a guy who films the world from the outside. Like it's all just data to him. But one thing stood out. He blurred her face after the first hour, which meant the original video had gone out raw. With her smile, her face, her kiss. I checked Reddit. There it was. A thread on a niche sub I didn't even know existed. Public drama with a tech twist. Someone had screen recorded the original. Reposted. Froze the frame at the exact second she handed over the key. They'd zoomed in. The name on the card was visible. Aaron M. And in the comments, someone had written, "Y'all, she married? Found her Insta. That ring is gone now, I dot." I checked her Instagram. She had posted nothing since the party. The last picture of us, her leaning on me at a park bench, had vanished. Archived. Like it had never happened. That night, she came home late. Claimed the pitch meeting ran over. She looked tired. Worn out. But not guilty. That's the thing about some people. They don't feel guilt the way you expect. They don't unravel. They just get better at managing the story. I poured her a glass of wine. Kissed her temple. I asked her if she liked the hotel they booked for Marcy's guests. She blinked. Oh, yeah. I didn't actually see the rooms. I was pretty out of it by then. I nodded. But you got back to the hotel okay? She hesitated. Yeah, I think so. I don't remember much of the Uber ride, honestly. Her hand tightened around the stem of her glass. A lie. Clean, practiced, maybe even rehearsed. She had expected this question, or one like it, and she'd built the lie days ago. I watched her sip the wine. I watched her smile like it didn't taste like ash. And I thought, you're not even afraid of being caught. You already think you got away with it. Which means this game, this long, silent game, it's mine now. By the end of the week, I had all the evidence I needed. The group chat screenshots, the ride history, the TikTok, now buried but far from gone. The internet never forgets. I downloaded the reposted video, found every version floating on Reddit and X, saved each one to a private drive. Her blurred face. The unblurred one. The keycard. The kiss. But that wasn't what broke me. It was the way she kept smiling at me like nothing had shifted. Still laughed at my jokes. Still slipped her hand under my shirt when we watched TV, her touch light, familiar, the way she used to when we were still us. Like I hadn't watched her betray me in high definition. I started noticing the small things then, the post-betrayal details. Things you only see when you know what to look for. She was quieter in the mornings. Spent more time in the mirror, but not to impress me. She started locking her phone. She'd never done that before. And her stories on Instagram? They dried up. She was hiding something. But she didn't know I'd already found it. On Sunday, I texted her while she was out. Thinking of surprising you at work tomorrow. Bring you lunch. 10 minutes later, she replied, "Oh, that's sweet. But I've got back-to-back meetings." Total chaos. I didn't reply. Just filed it away. At 12:45 the next day, I parked across from her office building. I watched her walk out in a tight black skirt and a white blouse I'd never seen before. She was smiling. On the phone. Not the polite, client-facing smile. The soft one. The one she used to save for me. She stood on the sidewalk for almost 10 minutes, twirling her keys, pacing. Then a car pulled up. Not an Uber. A sleek, dark blue Volvo. She got in. Not in the back. In the passenger seat. My chest went cold. I followed them. Not closely. Just enough to keep them in sight. They drove across the city, then pulled into the underground garage of a boutique hotel. I parked 2 blocks away and walked the rest. My hands were shaking. Not from rage. I'd already burned through that. This was something colder, more surgical. I stood across the street as they came out of the elevator and walked through the glass lobby. He touched her lower back. She didn't flinch, didn't look around, didn't hesitate. Like this wasn't new. They disappeared into the hallway that led to the rooms. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. I turned around and walked back to my car. The rest of the day felt like I was living in someone else's body. That night, she came home at 6:30, kissed my cheek, smelled like fresh linen and unfamiliar cologne. I cooked dinner, chicken and rice. She said it was perfect. We watched a show we'd been halfway through. She curled up next to me like she belonged there. I didn't say a word. I didn't sleep that night. At 2:11 a.m., I got out of bed and walked into the office, pulled up the TikTok, paused it at the frame where her hand rests on his leg. That quiet moment before the kiss. I stared at it until my eyes burned. Then I opened a new email. To myself. Subject, Aaron. I attached every file, every screenshot, every receipt. I created a folder, labeled it Truth, Undeniable. It wasn't about confrontation anymore. It was about precision, control. I wasn't going to scream, or cry, or accuse. I was going to ruin her. Quietly, completely. But I needed more. Not just proof. Context. Patterns. So I went back. To the beginning. Aaron and I had been together for 5 years. Married for 2. Met in a coffee shop. Cliché as hell. She smiled at me over her laptop, asked if I'd watch her stuff while she went to the bathroom. I said sure, and when she came back, I asked what she was working on. She said, learning to be less of a disaster. We were inseparable after that. Or so I thought. Now, with everything unraveling, I started replaying scenes from our past like surveillance footage. Her canceled plans. Her business trips. The way she always came home from those with new clothes, but no receipts. The hotel shampoo in her suitcase. The charger she once forgot to pack because it was in a different bag. She wasn't new to this. She was practiced. Trained. I started tracking her calendar, too. She had it synced to our shared Google account. It was mostly work entries, but every so often, she'd mark things vague. Client lunch. Strategy debrief. Headspace time. That last one appeared 3 times in the last month. Always on Fridays. Always around noon. I checked her card statements. A spa once. A bookstore once. But one charge stood out. The Cove Hotel. Room service. 3 weeks ago. She told me she was at a networking brunch. The dates lined up. So did the lies. But I still didn't know who he was. So I started digging. Not through her phone. That was still out of reach. But her laptop was another story. She left it charging in the office overnight. No password. At 2:34 a.m., I sat down and opened it. I didn't have to search far. Her iMessages were linked. Not her personal ones, but a side thread she forgot to delete. Contact name. In. No photo. Just the initial. I clicked. In. Miss that mouth. Aaron, you're ridiculous. In. You're addictive. Aaron, you're trouble. In. Next Friday. Same room. Then a photo. Not graphic. Just her in a hotel mirror, dress halfway unzipped. Smirking. Confident. Like she'd never been caught in her life. She never used emojis with me. But with him, she sent 3. Fire tongue Olkey. I stared at the screen. Then took a screenshot. Then 2. I closed the laptop gently. And finally, I allowed myself to ask the question I'd been avoiding. What kind of person does this? And worse, what kind of person stays? The answer didn't come right away. But I knew what I had to do next. The betrayal wasn't going to be a private failure. It was going to be a public event. One no algorithm could bury. There's a strange quiet that comes after a decision. like the stillness of a room after someone screamed into a pillow. I felt it that morning as I made her coffee. Cream, no sugar, and set it beside her laptop like I always did. She thanked me, smiled, kissed my cheek. My hand didn't flinch. I was playing a part now. The husband, the fool, the soft place she thought she could keep falling into while running off to other rooms, other hands. But she didn't know I had the script memorized now. Every line, every breath. And I was rewriting the ending. The first move was subtle. I dropped hints, small ones. Asked how work was going. Mentioned an old friend who got promoted and wanted to celebrate. Said I might be out late this Friday. She blinked. Friday was headspace time. Perfect. Oh, she said, swirling cereal in her bowl. That's the day I'm seeing Marcy. Still, I tilted my head, playing dumb. Didn't she leave for Italy with Kevin? Aaron froze for half a second, barely perceptible, then smiled. Right? No, I meant Maura. You know how I mix them up. She didn't. Not before. But lies are like skin, easy to tear once you've scratched at them enough. I nodded. Cool. I'll be out late either way. She looked relieved. She shouldn't have been. That night, while she showered, I opened her laptop again. I knew the pattern now. N, usual time. Aaron, 12:15. Bring that same wine. And leave your phone in the car this time. N, whoever he was, he listened. She trusted him. Not just with her body, but her privacy. That was useful. On Thursday, I called in a favor. I work in digital marketing, branding mostly, but I've got friends in PR, corporate cleanup, image control. People who can destroy someone with metadata and a polite press release. I called John. He owed me. I need facial recognition on a partial image, I said. Private. Quiet. John's good. Within hours, he sent me back a name. Nathan Shore. 34. Freelance designer. Mostly does work for startups and boutique fitness brands. Lives downtown. Single. No kids. No ring. But one thing stood out. His portfolio. It had a client called Wellnest, a high-end women's wellness brand. The same company Aaron had just started consulting for on the side. So that's how they met. They weren't just screwing. They were orbiting each other professionally, pretending it was all accidental. Organic. Except nothing about this was accidental. I kept digging. Nathan had a TikTok. Of course he did. Fitness videos. Architecture shots. Whiskey tastings. And one from 2 months ago, now deleted but cached in an archive site. It was silent. Just a slow-motion video of a woman spinning barefoot on a hotel balcony, her face turned away, her dress fluttering in the wind. Familiar. Too familiar. It was Aaron's dress, the one she wore to our anniversary dinner last year. He captioned it, "You ever love something that was never yours?" It had 120 likes. No comments. But it was the first crack in his armor. He wasn't just a fling. He had feelings. That made him vulnerable. That made him useful. By Friday morning, I was ready. I sent Erin off with a kiss and a gentle have fun. She smiled and said, "You too." I watched her drive off. Tracked her location. She turned it off within minutes, which only confirmed everything. But I didn't need her GPS. I had the reservation. I'd called the hotel. Posed as Nathan. Said I lost the confirmation email. Gave the last 4 digits of Aaron's card. Thanks to a photo I'd taken days before. Room 306, the woman said. One queen. Early check-in confirmed. Perfect. At 11:45 a.m., I parked across the street. I had a camera in my bag. Not a phone. A real camera. Zoom lens. Clean line of sight into the balcony. At 12:12, they entered. I started recording. They didn't close the curtains. At 12:20, she kissed him. At 12:23, he poured wine. At 12:27, she took off her blouse. I stopped recording. I had what I needed. I didn't want more. This wasn't about the act. It was about the lie. The comfort, the ease. They weren't desperate. They weren't conflicted. They were settled. She had built a whole second self around this. She thought no one would ever see it. That afternoon, while she was still in the hotel room, I started uploading. Not public, not viral, just a private link. Password protected. Sent to 5 people, each with their own caption. To her sister, thought you should know. To her boss, curious what your consultants do on company time. To her bridesmaid group chat, funny how tight friendships hide loose morals. To her old college roommate, the one who cried at our wedding and called me her safe choice. Still think I'm the boring one. And to Nathan, keep her. That night, she came home a little later than usual. Said traffic was hell. She kissed my cheek. Asked what I wanted to watch. She curled up beside me and tucked her feet under the blanket. But her phone buzzed. Once. Then again. Then again. Her sister. Her boss. A missed call. 2 voicemails. A text from Nathan. What the fuck did you do? She paled. I didn't say a word. I just reached for the remote, turned up the volume, and kept my arm around her. Let her squirm in silence. Let her wonder when the floor would drop. Because now, it wasn't just about catching her. It was about watching her drown in the truth she thought she could bury. And she hadn't even seen the worst of it yet. I always thought the moment of confrontation would feel like fire. Screaming. Slamming doors. Years of rage burning clean through the center of us. It didn't. It felt like frost. Saturday morning, she woke to silence. No breakfast. No coffee. Just the hum of our old fridge and the light streaming through the blinds like it didn't care that everything had changed. She came downstairs in an oversized t-shirt. One of mine. Hair up, eyes puffy. I was already dressed. Sitting at the dining table. Her laptop in front of me. My phone beside it. 2 mugs of untouched coffee growing cold between us. She froze in the doorway. Morning, she said. I didn't answer. She stepped closer. Saw what was on the screen. The video. Frozen on the balcony shot. Her face turned toward him. Lips parted. A single frame before they kissed. She inhaled sharply. Then, that's not. Don't lie, I said. My voice was flat, barely above a whisper. I wasn't. You were. Don't insult both of us. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was loaded. Every second a weight added to the pile she thought she could balance forever. She sat down. Slowly. Like someone walking into a courtroom where the verdict was already written. I can explain. I laughed. Just once. A sound so brittle it cracked the space between us. You think I want an explanation? You think there's something you can say that rewrites what I watched with my own eyes? She flinched. I slid the laptop toward her. Pressed play. She watched. Maybe for the first time. Her own movements. Her own smile. The keycard in her hand. The way she looked at him like I never existed. When the video ended, she didn't speak. I stood up. There's more, I said. I've seen the messages. The hotel receipts. The blurred TikTok. Before it was blurred. You were a trending topic, Aaron. Her mouth opened. Closed. No words came out. I walked to the kitchen. Poured my coffee down the drain. Behind me, I heard her say, quietly, how much did you send them? All of it. Her breath hitched. You sent that video to my boss. I turned. Looked her in the eye. I sent it to 5 people. None of them strangers. Do you have any idea what you've done? She stood now, shaking, the mug in her hand trembling like it might shatter. I took a step forward. I let them see what I already knew. That the person they think you are, the loyal friend, the dedicated consultant, the wife, is a performance. That you wore our marriage like a costume. That you let someone else into the sacred parts of it and acted like it didn't mean anything. Tears welled in her eyes. But I wasn't moved. Not anymore. You want to cry now? You kissed him with a camera running. You gave him a key. And you laughed about it with your friends like I was just a character in a sitcom you outgrew. It wasn't serious. The words came out hoarse. Pathetic. That's worse, I said. She looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Like the man standing across from her wasn't the soft, safe thing she thought she could lie to forever. You sent it to Nathan too. I nodded. He deserved to know what he was to you. Just another mirror. She opened her mouth, maybe to protest, maybe to beg. But I cut her off. You know what the worst part is? I said. It's not the kiss. Or the hotel. It's that you came home. Every night. You looked me in the eye and let me hold you. You let me believe I was still enough. She blinked, the tears spilling over now. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. No one ever does. She moved toward me. Reached out. I stepped back. You don't get to touch me. Not anymore. Her face crumpled then, in a way I'd never seen. Not even when her father died. Not even when she broke her wrist and cried through the pain. I'm sorry. I believed her. That's the awful part. I believe she was sorry. But being sorry isn't the same as undoing. It doesn't erase the footage. The messages. The fact that her betrayal is now archived in 3 inboxes, a hard drive, and a private Reddit thread. It lives in the eyes of her coworkers. Her sister. The man who thought he was more than a side character. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just said, you have until the end of the day to get out. She stared at me, stunned. You're serious. I'm not just serious. I'm done. I walked past her. Went upstairs. Closed the door. I heard her sob once. Sharp. Ugly. But I didn't go back. I packed a bag. I didn't need to. The house was still mine. Legally, financially, in every way that mattered. But I needed the silence. I needed the distance. That afternoon, I checked into a quiet Airbnb outside the city. One night. One clean breath. I turned off my phone. Watched the rain hit the windows like applause. And for the first time in months, I felt the ground again. I didn't go back the next day. Not even to see if she was gone. Some part of me needed to imagine the house empty. Air moved through it like a lung. Her scent lifted. Her belongings vanished. I wanted to believe she left quietly. That she didn't destroy the space on her way out like she did our marriage. The truth was, I didn't care what the place looked like anymore. I was done treating my life like a crime scene. The text started on Tuesday. Can we please talk? You didn't have to ruin everything. This isn't you. Please don't be like this. I read them once. Deleted them all. The number was blocked by the end of the week. Her sister called. Left a voicemail saying Erin was spiraling. That she'd lost her job. That she wasn't leaving the apartment she'd found. That I should talk to her, at least once, for closure. I didn't respond. Closure is a myth told to people who want to keep the door cracked. I wasn't interested in half-open things anymore. I kept myself busy. Deleted old photos. Burned the physical ones. Boxed the ring. Took it to a pawn shop and left it in the tray without flinching. I kept the receipt. Not because I needed the money. Because I wanted proof. That something had once cost me. That now it was just gone. And Nathan? He tried once too. Some pathetic little DM on an alt account. Man to man. I didn't know. She said you were separated. I didn't reply. He didn't deserve rage or forgiveness. He deserved silence. Erin tried to go silent too, eventually. Once the shame calcified into self-pity. Once the reality settled in that her second life had no air supply. The job was gone. The friend circle fractured. Marcy uninvited her from the wedding. Bree unfollowed her. Even Maura went quiet. That's what happens when betrayal leaks. No one wants to stand too close to the smoke. I'd like to say I moved on easily. I didn't. There were nights when I sat at the edge of the guest bed at the Airbnb and wondered what it had all meant. If the years were wasted. If love had ever lived here at all, or if I'd simply projected it onto someone who reflected what I wanted to see. Grief isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just the absence of ritual. No one to kiss goodnight. No second toothbrush. No wine poured for two. Sometimes the betrayal isn't even the worst part. It's the void that follows. But time moved. As it does. I started going to the gym again. Not because I wanted revenge, but because my body had become foreign. I needed to sweat some of the lies out. I met people. Slowly. Carefully. Eventually, I told someone new about the story. Just a version of it. She listened without judgment. Didn't flinch when I said the words viral cheating video. She said, that must have felt like being erased. I said, no. It felt like being rewritten. That night, we didn't sleep together. We just talked. About damage. About dignity. About how betrayal isn't a wound, it's a mirror. And I finally said it out loud. I don't hate her. I didn't. Not anymore. Hatred requires effort. Sustained attention. I was tired of watering what wouldn't grow. Months later, I returned to the house. She was gone. The keys had been left in the mailbox. I walked through the rooms in silence. Some spaces still held the shape of her. The dresser corner. The empty perfume bottle. A single strand of hair caught in the vent. But even ghosts get tired eventually. I painted the bedroom. Took down the photos. Replaced the couch. Sold the bed. The final thing I did was delete the folder. Truth, undeniable. Not because I forgave her, but because I no longer needed proof of what I already knew. Sometimes, closure isn't about talking. It's about choosing not to talk. It's about understanding that the worst betrayal doesn't leave a scar you can show. It rewires you. It teaches you silence can be a weapon, but also a shield. And healing? Healing looks like walking past the hotel without looking in. It looks like seeing her name on an email thread and feeling nothing. It looks like starting again. Not as someone new, but as someone undivided. I was never broken. Just cracked in a way that let the light through. Thanks for watching. If this story pulled you in, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next confession. Until next time, take care and watch who you trust.